Welcome to Inspiring Working Lives, the Morgan Hunt podcast where we explore public sector leadership journeys. From honest chats about career highs and lows, to lessons and wisdom to inspire the next generation of leaders that will shape our society.
Hello, and welcome to the Morgan Hunt Inspiring Working Lives podcast. Today's guest is Janet Curtis-Broni, Group Chief People Officer at Elevare Civic Education Group, formerly London and South East Education Group, one of the UK's leading education and skills organisations, spanning further education, schools and community learning. The group comprises London South East Colleges, London South East Academies Trust and the Laser Education Foundation. Joining the group in 2020 as Director of HR and Organisational Development, she was soon promoted to her current role, where she leads the people strategy to strengthen organisational culture, talent development and leadership capability across its diverse institutions. A Fellow of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development, CIPD, and a qualified mediator and coach, Janet has over 18 years of experience in further education, including 13 in senior leadership. She is also chair of the HR Directors Network for the Association of Colleges, AOC, London Region, helping to shape collaborative approaches to people, strategy and policy across the FE sector. Her work is centred on creating a high-performing, inclusive culture that empowers staff and champions well-being, equity and opportunity throughout the organisation. Janet, thank you so much for joining us today. It's a real pleasure to have you here at Morgan Hunt.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. We're delighted to hear your story. I'd like to start off though with your childhood. Can you tell us a little bit about it? And also, did you have career aspirations as a young person?
Yeah, so my childhood, born in the UK. My parents at that time lived here for about 17 years. And then they decided to go back in the 70s. So I was 7 years old when we went back to Ghana.
Wow.
So my formative years and my main education was in Ghana from the ages of 7 to 18. I came back to the UK when I was 18 to continue my education and then go to university. In terms of the actual childhood, obviously I grew up in Ghana. I went to an all-girls boarding school, which was great. I think when I reflect back in terms of how I have grown up, it's, you know, the Ghanaian culture is very much rooted in community, respect, inclusivity, and I think I've grown up with those things as well. And also being kind of going to a girls' boarding school from the age of 11 to 16, again, that actually instilled quite a number of values and some skills that probably I'm using today, some soft skills, because resilience, you know, being away from home, you know, in a girls' boarding school was not that easy. But we learnt a lot, we worked together, and there was lots of discipline. And to this day, when I go back to Ghana, I always have to go back to that school. And we've got a big alumni here in the UK, and we give back to the school for the young people in there as well. So yeah.
Wow, so almost professional life is kind of being set up in those early years with those experiences.
Unintentionally, yeah.
Yeah, and the sort of switch between the UK and Ghana and then back again, what did that bring to you as such? Was it very different coming back to the UK?
Not really. I think, you know, I was still a teenager, so you adapt very quickly. Yeah. I did have quite a number of friends. I had family here as well. So I just came back and I did, you know, went and did some more A-levels. The curricula at the time in Ghana was based on the British curricula, you know what I mean? So in terms of education and stuff. So it was quite a smooth transition. Obviously the first couple of years you're finding your feet and things, but essentially it was okay.
Okay. And while you're studying, were there any ideas of what this was going to lead to as a professional career for you? Or did you want to do something special, like be on the stage or something? Or
Well, interesting. I mean, my parents all worked in the health sector. So at the time of growing up, I thought, okay, maybe I will end up somewhere there in the health sector. But I didn't like science. I liked reading. Yeah. I liked a lot of writing and listening. And quite engaging with people. So it kept on shifting, so at one point you think, oh, you might want to be a nurse, a doctor, and then it kept on changing. HR was not really I would say, well known then, if you like. So that wasn't on my radar, but it kept on shifting up until the stage that I probably finished uni, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what happened when you finished uni? How did you...
So I was temping for a number of agencies. One of the agencies got me a job in the health sector, interestingly, but in the personnel department, because
That's
it was
what
called...
they used to be called.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I was the PA to the personnel manager. So I worked there for a few months, and then after that I got a permanent role in a large international charity, and that was overseas personnel. And basically what I was doing was recruiting expats to go and work overseas. The countries that I was looking after were Asia and the rest of the world. So that was good, that was interesting. And that it was really at that stage that I thought, okay, I actually like this. I'd like to work in personnel. But they also had a UK personnel department, so I was in overseas personnel. But I kind of liked employment law and things like that. But because I was recruiting and sending people overseas, you couldn't really use UK legislation and all of those types of things. It was more about best practice. So I decided that I wanted to do my CIPD, which is the Masters. So that's the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development in terms of the HR qualification. They funded me and I got a promotion. And yeah, I stayed there for over 8 years. And that was really, if you like, the proper start of my HR career.
Got it, okay. Yeah. And you said in that process was a point almost it felt like HR grabbed you and you felt like this is the one, yeah. What was it within the role that was kind of doing that to you?
So I like a lot of diversity when I'm working.
Yes.
And I can normally get bored easily.
Yeah.
But when you work in HR, no 2 days are the same.
No.
So I think I liked that variety. I also liked the fact with this charity, obviously we were dealing with lots of different countries, so meeting different people, sending them overseas, liaising with all sorts of external agencies in terms of their induction. So there's a whole range of different things. I enjoyed that buzz. And also, as I said, in terms of some of the other technical aspects of HR, I liked employment law. It's something that I like. Case law, developing policies, procedures, and basically making, adding value to the organisation's goals. Yeah, which is central in terms of the people. So yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So that was in healthcare.
That was in the charity.
Charity?
Yeah.
Right, okay. And then at some stage, further education is going to call to you. How did you make the transition there?
So after the charity, so I worked there for 8 years. After that, I then worked in the corporate sector. But the organisation I worked for had a link to education because it was an awarding body. So again, I loved that too. I was dealing mainly with recruitment at that time. I was living in North London. I was a mother with 2 little children as well. So, and my local college, which was the College of North East London, and to which I also attended when I came back from Ghana, so I'm an alumni of that college, I always wished I was working there. Mainly for some selfish reasons, because in terms of work, balancing work, raising children and things like that, and it was local. So about a year later, I saw a job advertised, and yeah, it was in that college. It was nothing to do with recruitment, which I liked. It was a role that was specifically created as a recommendation from Ofsted, And yeah, so I started working there in March 2003.
Wow.
And then I worked there for 6 years. And within that time, I had 4 promotions. Yeah.
Superb.
So that was kind of my first stint in FE. And it happened to be local. It happened to be on my doorstep. It happened to be a college that I went to. So I felt as if I was giving back, you know what I mean? And in terms of my own personal circumstances at the time as well, it fitted because I had young children. I could drop them to school, I could pick them up, go to work. Do you see what I'm saying? It was all local. So everything was fine, and it was a great college.
Right, okay, brilliant. So that's the link, and I can see there's that passion there, not only about your chosen subject, which is HR, etc., but also the FE sector with that connection to your past. Okay, so you were there for how many years?
6.
6, okay. And then what happened?
So I started, so the role I went into was an HR advisor, which really is a role which deals with a lot of casework, employee relations, so restructuring, change, probations, you know, all sorts of casework, as we would say in the HR speak. And when I left, I was the head of HR. So I did have a number of promotions when I was there. Obviously, in my work, dealing with casework, I'm working with and through leaders in terms of how we effectively manage different cases that we're dealing with. So that exposed me to quite a number of the senior leaders. And one of them, she was the deputy principal at the time. She ended up getting a role as a CEO of another college.
Right.
That was Barking and Dagenham. So when she moved, I would say she did the cherry picking, as they say.
Yes.
And a role came up in Barking and Dagenham College as an assistant director for HR, and then I applied and I got that role. So then I moved to Barking and Dagenham College in 2009.
Got it.
Yeah, and I was there for 10 years.
Right, okay. And that was looking after the whole HR function?
Correct.
Yes.
So I started as the assistant director of HR, and when I was leaving, I was the executive director, group director, I think, something like that. I can't remember the job title, but yes, there were a number of promotions there. But yes, it was driving the HR strategy, working with, I had exec duties as well, working with and through leaders, you know, on a whole range of things in terms of HR is strategic, you know, so it's really about how it feeds into your business plan, your workforce planning. We know in the FE sector there's lots of challenges with regards to funding. So how you navigate all of that and the impact on your staff and the impact on your business. Do you see what I'm saying? So working, you know, with and through all the senior leaders on that. So I did have HR, I had safeguarding, I had EDI, and I had, I think, payroll as well.
Okay, right. And then we might as well bring it up to speed then, which is your current role now, which is in this vastly expanding organisation. Almost must be hard keeping up with it at times.
I think it's great. I mean, obviously I joined the group, and it consists of 3 entities, which is London South East Colleges, London South East Academies Trust, and the Laser Group. It's expanding, so it is large. So I'm the Group Chief People Officer, as you introduced me earlier. I joined in January 2020, so just before COVID. And yeah, it's great work in there. Again, my role entails, you know, working with senior leaders and driving the strategy. EDI is key for us as well. We've got some great leaders there, and yeah, it's one of the best choices I think in my career, I would say. Yeah.
So this must be an incredibly challenging job because the organisation changes, grows, new entities come into it. At the same time, there's all the pressures that the sector brings. Changing legislation. We know HR people, legislation is changing all the time. All those challenges, how do you manage that? How do you keep on top of it all?
So, you know, if I answer your last point first, which is about the change in legislation. Yes, you have to keep up to date, pace, different trends. That is the HR profession. You have to be up to date with employment law, case law, best practice, things coming out in your sector. That is part of your ongoing learning, you know what I mean? So you do have to do that, and you have to balance it and to make sure that you're exposed to those things. So doing that, you need to network, whether it's the AOC, whether it's with lawyers, workshops and stuff like that. So you have to balance that, because otherwise you'll be out of date. So you have to do that. I think the next one is about the funding. Of course, our sector is difficult in terms of funding. So that in itself will sometimes translate into change and realignments, restructures. Again, you have to balance the business needs and also the employees as well in terms of their health and their mental well-being. One of the things I will say is that the role of the HR profession is changed and has evolved over the years. Apart from the technical knowledge, you're also having to be a mediator, a coach, and those soft skills as well. And you need to balance all of those business needs in terms of being the conscience of the organisation to make sure that whatever you're doing is right. So yes, it is demanding, it is challenging, but you just have to work through it and navigate. And you need to use all the soft skills that you've developed. So your resilience, your communication, being firm, empathy as well. But yeah, I think as the years have gone on, I've developed all those skills as well.
Okay, it's a lot of baskets to look after, isn't it? And then on top of that, you've recently picked up the responsibility for marketing across the group, which is a lot to deal with. Do you allot set times in the week or the month?
Yeah, and remember, I've got a large team. I've got some great people. As I said, the organisation I work with is very supportive, so I've got a great manager. I've also got great, people in my team, as in the people team, the payroll team, marketing as well. So again, it's sort of learning new things as each day goes on. I think our CEO is also great. She's very supportive. She's very visionary as well. So I think, and part of my role does include some exec duties as well. So it's basically making sure that you're moving in the same direction as the organisation. Do you see what I'm saying? So yes, it is a busy role, but I'm not just doing it on my own. Do you see what I'm saying? There's a whole range of other people there to support.
Yes. Okay. And in terms of HR's direction in the college, you've mentioned, and we can see from your history, how important ED&I is in terms of managing that. How do you bring that to the college? How do you oversee that to make sure that equity, that diversity and inclusion is across the board?
So EDI is very important for our group. So our schools and also the colleges, and also the Laser Group, which is a charity that we formed in the last couple of years. It is important because we want all our communities that we serve to feel a sense of belonging.
Yes.
That is crucial. It is important. That is embedded in everything that we're doing. And I think it starts off with having a clear strategy in terms of what your vision is, a strategy that underpins your own group strategy, having some measurable goals, making sure that everyone's on board. So top down, bottom up and middle out. So when I say top down, leaders are driving it, they're on top of it. Bottom up, that's your staff in terms of getting feedback, listening to what they're saying, understanding their lived experiences, and therefore some of that can form your actions, getting them on board to drive some of the initiatives. And middle out as well, making sure that's all your managers, your middle managers, but also investing in things like training, raising awareness, because it's vast, isn't it? EDI cannot be a tag on anymore. It's not a tag on. It needs to form part and parcel of organisations, because we have to create inclusive workplaces and workspaces, because that creates a sense of belonging, and that in turn, you know, creates, you know, retention of your staff, happy staff, your learners, your pupils. Do you see what I'm saying? So there is kind of all of those things that come out of it if you do it well.
Yes.
And then, you know, it's about the impact.
Yeah.
You know, you might have a load of actions and it's the so what. You know what I mean? So what? As a result of that, what's happened? And sometimes you might try new things, it might not work. That's okay. Try different things. And that is why people need to engage with it. And because people will have different experiences. And then there are things like your data. You know, how are you using your data? What's your data telling you? You know what I mean? And all of those different things that, you know, EDI champions, networks, a whole range of things. So, you know, you want to create an inclusive workforce. You want to create, and the communities that we serve are also inclusive. They're diverse.
Yeah.
You know, so we're on a journey. And I have to say, where I'm working now, you know, it's led from the top. You know, our CEO, Dr. Sam Perret, she leads. You know, she champions it. The board of governors, all of them, and then, you know, so she's given us the platform, you know, to drive it. And as a result of that, you would probably have seen that we've been awarded some external kind of recognition for our work in EDI. So we're on a continuum. You know, we're on a continuum. So I always say it's a journey.
Yes.
And I always say that we probably need to get to a space where we're comfortable talking about uncomfortable topics.
Yeah.
Because you might have some uncomfortable topics, but let's talk about it. Because everyone has a different perspective. And it's about creating those safe spaces and valuing that diversity of thought.
This episode is brought to you by Morgan Hunt, a public sector recruitment agency with over 30 years of experience. Whether you're looking for your next role or growing your team, we match purpose-driven people with organisations making a real difference. Visit morganhunt.com to find out how Morgan Hunt inspires working lives.
That's a wonderful thought. So it's so important to the college, for the staff who work there, but also for the students.
Absolutely.
Really, it's their first it's that bridging ground between education and employment. And if you can't see it, you know, it's sort of hard to be it. And it's that whole idea
Absolutely.
of pushing people forward. Wonderful. You mentioned the CEO head there, Dr. Sam Parrott. Are there particular people in your career who've been important to you in terms of where you are now?
Yes. So specifically in the FE sector, because I've been in it now for 22 years, I think when I joined Cornell, you know, my direct line manager, Stuart Hyde, he was great. Kathy Walsh, so she was the deputy principal and she got the role at Barking and Dagenham College as the CEO. She was very inspirational. Dr. Sam Perret, as I said, she is the group CEO and principal for our group. Again, she's very visionary. She's very inspiring. I've also got the opportunity to work with great teams too, because I can't do it on my own. It's not all about me. It's about how you work with and through people. But when I reflect on some of the individuals who've had an impact on my career, I would say that some of them found things in me that I didn't even know I had. So, you know, in terms of giving me things to do, I might think, oh my God, I don't think I can do it. But they say, no, you can. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's that push, that stretch, that challenge, and that support. And I think that also with the teams that I've worked with, I've worked with some great teams, I'm working with some great teams now. Again, it's what I give back to them in terms of supporting them as well and developing them. and identifying those hidden gems within you. It just helps you grow, and it helps. And that's probably part of the reason why I've been in FE for quite a long time, because it's that supportive and developmental and that growth. And that's what a true HR professional does. But I just have been lucky to have some great leaders. Some of them have been my direct line managers, and some of them have just, been direct leaders that I've worked with. But also the teams that I've also led, I think they've also given me inspiration too. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it all comes down to making sure that you, and probably the EDI thing again, is that, making sure that you're developing people, that they reach their best potential.
Yeah. It's a common theme for people who sat in that chair, which is there was somebody who saw something, possibly when you didn't, know. And it's that level of belief, and then the push, the drive. You can do this. You've got it. Off you go.
Yeah.
The other thing I just want to pick up on is this mediation. You are a trained mediator. How does that play into HR life? I should imagine you're using it all the time, actually.
Yeah, and I was trained by ACAS, actually. That was when I was working at Canal. Yes, there's a whole range of things that are skills that you develop as a mediator that you use day to day. So listening skills, hearing, because there's one thing about listening, there's another thing about hearing what the person's saying. Empathy, trying to get two parties to kind of come to some sort of, to resolve the conflict and then come to sort of a mid-ground, and how you navigate that, the influencing skills, the feeding back. But I think it plays out almost on a day-to-day basis, like other soft skills will do. And yes, there will be times when you have to actually mediate between two parties, because there's a disagreement or a conflict and stuff like that. The ideal solution is that obviously they come up with however they're going to resolve it. You are the person facilitating those conversations, and basically moving forward. So it does come into play, like coaching as well. Again, slightly different. Obviously, coaching is also about how you get individuals to solve their own problems by the right questioning, listening, feeding back, and all of that type of stuff as well. So all of those things come to play on a day-to-day basis, depending on the scenario that you're dealing with.
Okay, so that mediation is really important. As we said, you're probably using those skills every single day. How does that sort of feed into, again, coming back to your role at the moment, which is constantly changing and evolving? And I'm particularly interested at the scale of growth within the organisations you lead from a HR people perspective. How do you get to those new areas that are coming into the organisation? How do you help shape them and make sure it's all a culture that is unique but appropriate across all of the areas within the...
We are a values-based culture, so we have we obviously have our vision, but underpinning that we have our values as well. So it is incumbent on all our staff to obviously emulate those values. My role, I work with senior leaders, so we've got senior leaders and a good management structure across obviously the group in terms of the schools, the college, and also the laser group. So my role really is to work with and through those leaders, because they are leading their schools, they are leading the college. Do you see what I'm saying? So in terms of advice, guidance, of course we've got the policies, the procedures, the frameworks and things, but for me it's more about how we emulate our values, how we recognize those values, and how it plays out on a day-to-day basis, and therefore the behaviours that we expect of all staff. And that then forms the culture. Of course, there are different things in terms of expectations and all of that type of stuff that is set, so of course when you're a new learner and you come to the college, there will be expectations set in terms of what you're expected to do and all of that, and how that's discharged on a day-to-day basis. Leaders and managers will do that. My role will be to work with and through them to make sure it's consistent. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yes.
So there's a constant dialogue around set themes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And different HR issues or people issues, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with people.
Yes.
So it plays out differently. And yes, so that's consistency, and our structures kind of enable that to happen as well. So it is busy, and within our schools we've got head teachers, we've also got directors across the trust, we've also got a deputy CEO for the trust. In the college side as well, we've got curriculum managers, directors, deputy principals, principal, and then you've got the group principal, group CEO and principal. And then of course we've got a large HR team as well. So again, they're deployed to work with so it's about the consistency of approach, you know what I mean? And basically making sure that you're also recognising those employees who are doing it well.
Great, yeah.
And all the different things now within the sector. One of our challenges is about attracting and retaining staff. So, what are the things that we can be doing to make sure? So sometimes you have staff feedback and all of those types of things as well. So that helps with that, having that open and transparent culture. So It's always evolving, you know what I mean? And constantly moving. And plus, the sector's changing. And everyone needs to change, and you need an agile workforce. So all of those things around it, but the role of HR is really to help shape some of that workforce planning, those practices, those policies, those procedures, and working with and through leaders to discharge that.
It sounds like a wonderful challenge, and you're constantly working on it, and that repetition, it will be vital. Okay, this vast experience you've pulled together, Janet, over several years, and the job you're doing now, if there is an HR professional that's sat in let's say a public sector body somewhere and goes, I'd love to have a shot at a role like that, I'd love to get to that position, but they're kind of feeling a bit unloved at the moment, or they don't see the way forward, what advice would you give to that person?
I would say keep on going.
Yeah.
I would say if the organisation you're working in is not giving you those opportunities, then maybe you need to be looking elsewhere. But before you do that, speak to them, because HR is a rewarding career. And it may well be that you might want to look at different ways to break into a senior leadership into HR. Do you see what I'm saying? If you don't have all the skills at the time, because it is a journey. I've worked in HR since the 90s. So it's a long, long time. Make sure that you have those dialogues with your employer, but make sure you're also networking. Good networks is good. Your CPD, you're on top of your the latest trends. Your soft skills are important. I think that when you get to a certain level, yes, the technical expertise is good, but it's all the other soft skills as well. The way you engage with stakeholders, the way you work with and through them, the way you communicate, your integrity, your authenticity, and it's all about relationship building. And I think that sometimes it's also about doing things to show your organisation you're capable of doing, so that when positions come up, then obviously you can apply for them. But it is a journey. There are lots of HR roles out there. Sometimes as well, it's good to have a mentor or a coach. They could be in the organisation or outside of the organisation. It could be another HR professional in terms of mentoring. So there's a number of things that you can do to probably look at that. And also find your niche, because HR, there's lots of different specialisms in it. Some people would like to just specialise, let's say, in reward and recognition, recruitment, senior recruitment. Some people would like to just do the HR generalist role, so they have knowledge about all different aspects. So you need to understand in terms of your own career pathway, where you want to go, and then start navigating that as well. I'd also say that there are lots of agencies like yourselves, you can get some career advice in terms of the next move and stuff, but I think it starts off with your employer.
Yes.
Have those dialogues, a lot of employers are supportive. They want to see their talent management strategies is about growing their own. It helps with your retention, so have those dialogues. And it might be that the opportunities might not be immediately there, but actually you might be able to get involved in different things that will build that skill set for the future.
Yes.
So I think communication, talking is good.
Yeah. I think a good recruiter would always recommend somebody who's not maybe quite happy in the role they are or feel they're blocked in. Have that conversation first. Yeah. See what your current organisation can offer.
Absolutely.
Okay. It is fantastic because for me, HR, there's clearly this heavy legal formality that sits behind the profession, but it's the ability to humanise that, and to get through to so many different types of people who work in these organisations, which makes it brilliant HR. That's when it's at its best, isn't it? I would suggest, working with HR and being on the other side of HR as well. Wonderful. Janet, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. It's been lovely to hear this story and how you've developed and the ongoing work. And I'm very conscious we're just at one moment, not at the end of this. There's a long way to go. And hopefully sometime in the future you can come back and tell us how things are developing for you.
I'd love to. And thank you for having me.
It's been brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Inspiring Working Lives, the Morgan Hunt podcast, driving positive change and helping you to grow your career. If you've enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next inspiring conversation. For more insights, opportunities, and updates, head to morganhunt.com.